Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And I'm not. And not in a good place. As you know, the ongoing saga that always, as I said, my most dreaded part of living in Pakistan is the fact that my dad decided to go all out and saddle me with Skyelectric 6 years ago. And so 6 years of unnecessary tension, unnecessary stress, unnecessary drama, and only another reason for me to just hate this country. Now, mind you, when we say we hate this country, we're never talking about the geographics, okay? We're talking about the system or lack thereof. We're talking about the society or lack thereof. We're talking about the whole caboodle, okay, of people, in other words. Now, mind you, even when I have a problem with Skyelectric, my problem is never with their technical team. It's never with their engineers. In fact, I think if it wasn't for them, I would have dismantled and burnt the bejesus out of this system the very year I got saddled with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So no. My problem is, again, with their system. I would say it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again, and I'll say it 1,000 times, because my experiences only moved to prove me true and to prove me right. Never waste money on unnecessary gadgets. Never allow somebody to tell you that having a computerized system or having a smart system or having an AI system is a good choice. It's not a good choice, as I've talked about cars and I've talked about, other things. Where software, I've talked about hard pacers and everything. Where software comes in, your dependency comes in, your lack of peace comes in, and your lack of resolutions, that comes in too, okay? Because now, for example, all you need to have a peace of mind is you want a solar system, right? You think that will give you a peace of mind. How can it give you a peace of mind when they put in a software system, an AI system, which means you're going to have so much shit for maintenance? And that's how they scam you, that's how they defraud you, that's how they make money out of you. And it's not worth the money. That's what I'm saying. It's never ever worth the money. You want a solar system, just have your basic, very basic, off the shelf, ready-made, generic hybrid inverter systems, and they are 1,000 times better, because first of all, nothing happens to them. You don't have to do maintenance again and again. The only maintenance in every system's problem is the batteries. Now, here, funny thing is that in this system, the only thing that actually never needed much maintenance was the batteries. As in, they're fine. The thing that always seems to need maintenance is the system itself, because of the software again. If there was no software, if there was nothing of the sort, if there was no computerized technology inserted in the system, if it was just a straightforward system like every other system, where you just had an inverter and you had the batteries, and you connected it to your panels, and you're fine. Why? Because in such systems you can upgrade accordingly, and you can replace accordingly. But when you're stuck with these customized, designed systems, you're stuck for life. You're trapped unless you throw it all out and again replace it with a generic system, which means you have spent all that money only to ditch it and spend more money. You see what I'm saying? Already, as I said, this system cost us double, more than double actually, but let's say double the amount of the actual amount that it should have cost us. Why? Because they kept on talking about their AI system and their remote monitoring, both of which have proved to be rubbish. It's a fact. Their AI monitoring is the worst part of their system. In all the 6 years that I've had this system, it's the NOC services that I've had a problem with, okay? They never seem to know what's going on. They never inform you, even if they do find out what's going on. And then they try to trap you into putting these annual subscriptions so that they can give you, so that then only will they upgrade your software, maintain your software, and maintain remote monitoring. And yet when the salesperson and the NOC services and the engineers and the whole management, when they got together, when they were founding this company, then when they were coming after all of us to manipulate us or trap us, or basically to convince us to invest in their company and be their first founding clients, and they convinced us to pay them so that they can go and get the system, and then pay them again so that they can go and design the new the inverter and everything, and then pay them so that they can go and buy the panels. This is how it all started. And when they convinced the first 100 batch of us to invest in them, that time, what they said, their sales pitch was that we will have remote monitoring, and it will be an AI system, and we will have no problems whatsoever for as long as we have the system. And then, I don't know, it seems that every time their management changes, they bring something new, or they keep, I don't know, they have a bad habit of either blaming their new managements every single time something goes wrong. Either they blame their management having been changed, or they blame their sales team for misguiding the clients. So the management, it seems, every time it changes, they decide to attack, especially the old clients, where they're trying to make money out of us, and they try to rip us off, as you know, because I've talked about it in great detail whenever such things happened. If you look at all my previous podcasts with regards to Skyelectric, you will know exactly what happened and for how long and all I can tell you is the gist of it is 6 years. 6 years. This is a defective system. You realize that it's a defective system from the very first year, because the very first year the system started giving us little problems, which we were very patient with, to be honest. Not to mention that they caused us a lot of problems during installation too, and we were very patient. Also, not to mention that because they were a starting company and a founding company, so at that point they even delayed our installation for like almost a year, and we were still patient that okay, it's a new company, they're just getting their bearings and everything. How long do they expect us to be patient with them? Like, this is something I picked up with them every single time their system fell apart. Like, for example, now, as you know, if you've listened to my last podcast and the one before it, you will know that these 2 days, again, there's been an error. They thought they fixed the error, but guess what? The error came back, and then they're realizing that maybe it's the inverter. And then when they try to change the setting, the whole system started shutting down and restarting and shutting down and restarting. And yes, constantly on repeat, for at least a good 10 minutes before I just shut the system down, as in I changed over to grid. I changed the load over to grid, and I turned off the grid breaker as well, to completely isolate the system and to be completely on grid. Now imagine how dangerous this was, because in those 10 minutes, nobody was responding. Nobody was getting back to me until I actually called the head office, and I called the NOC services, and I'm like, can you just shut down the bloody system on your side? So it's not that they were not responding like deliberately. I was already in touch with them when this started. But the problem is, as soon as this started, because it kept shutting everything down, it meant it kept shutting my internet down as well. But I was still managing to message them, text them, call them. They could have done the same to me. They saw that I was messaging them, that they saw I was calling. They could have called me back. They could have answered me, So in those 10 minutes, a whole lot could have happened once again. As you know, electricity is the worst thing that you can be playing with, and if your whole system is turning on and turning on, it is to save ourselves from this kind of thing that we choose to go on a hybrid system. We choose to have a solar system, because when VABDA starts doing these things, as you know, your appliances fry, your wiring fries, you opened up the DP and you find out that because of VABDA's stupidity, because it keeps on mucking around with the voltages and the currents, and you find out that okay, one of your cables have actually shorted inside your fuse box. So these things are dangerous. What my problem is, how can people be so careless with things that can be life-threatening? Electricity is one of those hazards that if something goes wrong, God forbid, it's life threatening. Your whole house can burn down, your whole wiring can burn down, anything can happen when it's if you have short circuits or anything. I think we're extremely lucky, mashallah, 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 in this country, that the way Vabda has been playing with the electricity, and now at the solar system like Skyelectric, the way they have been mucking about with the electricity, with your power system, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that nothing really big happened, apart from their, in case of Skyelectric, it's their own things that start blowing up. So this is the second time that their inverter now has basically had a problem. The first inverter, which was brand new, within the warranty period, if you remember my old podcast, within the warranty period, that blew up, literally it blasted, right? And they replaced it with a refurbished, this inverter that I have now, they replaced it with a refurbished inverter that I have right now, okay? And that time even I said that now what are the odds that this one's lifespan is going to be shorter than it should be? And they admitted it, that yes, obviously we cannot guarantee its lifespan because it is not brand new, it's refurbished, but that's all we have. You took so much money from us. Again, one of your other promises that you made was, apart from remote monitoring and apart from having the whole, they literally made us think as if we bought, and normally, as I've said before, normally when you buy a system that is software related, you're buying the software too. Nobody can say that, oh, now pay up an annual subscription for maintenance, otherwise we will not upgrade your software, we will not maintain your software. Are you crazy? All the other solar systems that we have from different companies, they also have a software. You literally, that software is free, by the way. And some of them even have the remote monitoring, by the way. Yes, they do have remote monitoring options as well, in the sense that if ever needed, they can remotely check up your system and see what's going on. But why is it that none of those systems have ever given anybody any problems at all? Why? Because they keep it simple. They use a tried and tested app. They use a tried and tested Android software. They don't go all out and say, oh, we're going to design our own Android software and then we're going to keep the rights with us and then we're going to exploit the clients and then we're going to tell them to pay up every year. Otherwise, we're not going to do remote monitoring. And when that was your sales pitch, So these are kind of things that make all of us old clients, all of us, believe me, it's like 100% feedback here. All the old clients, and even the new ones, majority of the new ones, we are all regretting that getting this system, because at the end of the day, as I said, their sales pitch was that we will not have to worry about anything, that, what with the remote monitoring and what with everything and all. Because as I said, the main thing that people have a problem with in a hybrid system is backup. No, as I said, nobody wants the hassle of maintenance. And batteries require maintenance. So what people normally do in Pakistan is they do not have backup. They use their regular old UPS for emergencies, for backup. For if there's no light, they're not going to rely on the solar backup for light, because they do not have a solar backup. They rely on the old UPS that they all already have. Now, we decided to go for backup. We thought it was worth the investment. And to be honest, the backup is worth the investment. As I said, this system would never have given us a problem if it was just a good old inverter with these pair of batteries, because their batteries are, mashallah, really good. Okay? Never had a problem. It's the system, the software aspect of the system, the computerized aspect of the system. That is where the problem is. And obviously, as I said, when you bring software into the mix, you've got a problem. The minute you bring computers into a gadget that can actually work very well without any software needed, the minute you include software, the minute you computerize that gadget, it's gone. its lifespan is gone, its dependability is gone, its reliability is gone. Plus, as I also said to them, that the worst part about customization, as in designing your own system and using custom things and this, the worst part is you're producing e-waste. For example, I've got a perfect pair of batteries, but I cannot use them with any other inverter except for Skyelectric's own inverter. And as we know, another reason why people opt out of batteries, they are the most expensive things. Inverters are not expensive. The whole solar panel thingy is not expensive. Solar system, installment, everything, nothing is expensive as such. In fact, the rates have dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. But the one thing that remains expensive are the batteries. And that is why people opt out. So it's not just the maintenance, but it's also the fact that the actual price of these batteries is too much. Like even now, batteries standard are about 450K. Okay, if anybody is going to work with you on this, then minimum they would go 370K. That is a lot of money for batteries. Okay, and then again, as I said, you will have your maintenance. Where there are batteries, there will be maintenance. Now, that maintenance, to be honest, one can still do with. One can still, compared to this maintenance, where you never know what your software is going to throw at you and how it's going to work the inverter so that it should once again, blow up. Like literally, the inverter now is in need of repair. Notice the lifespan of their inverters. That's another thing. You see, you want us to pay so much money to put in all your systems and everything, and yet you realized, as I said, from the very first year, you realized that your system has got flaws. And as the years progressed, like year 2, year 3, you realized that there are in fact many little defects in your system, and that your whole software-based system in itself is defective. I would call it defective. And then, or flawed, okay, let's be a little more generous, let's call it flawed. And then you realize that maybe because of that, or apart from that, your inverters do not have a long lifespan. How can you have an inverter that doesn't have a long lifespan, or that is at least not reliable or durable enough to go years without having a problem? Your inverter is the main thing. The inverter is everything in a solar system. That is your main system itself. The inverter is the system. You are telling me that in all these years, you realized that your inverters did not even have a dependable lifespan, and that within 3 years or max, right at the end of the 3rd year, something's going to happen to your inverter, and it's going to either blow up, or it's going to have an error, or some motherboard components are going to have a problem, and it would need. So for them, this was, instead of doing something about it and getting a better inverter to fit these existing systems so that they can secure their clients, they decided to just leave it there and leave their clients with these old systems, and they decided to just make up a new system and offer that new system to their new clients, and the old ones be damned. Why? Because now they can make money out of their old clients, because if the warranty of their inverters was 4 years, and that time they kept saying that nobody could guarantee such kind of a warranty at that time, 2018, 2019. They kept insisting that there was no inverter in the world, or especially in Pakistan, that gave that kind of a warranty and that they were offering. That was 4 years. Well, guess what? Other companies were offering up to 5 years. There were some that were offering 1 year, 3 years, but there were those that were offering 5 years. And literally, in about 2020 onwards, or was it 2022 onwards, 10-year warranty inverters with battery system, with the whole backup, started coming. Yeah, 10 years. And those of us who had Skyelectric, we were thinking, where are we trapped here? Because again, if we did not have a customized, designed system, we could have very easily upgraded our inverters. Period. No problems there. But they have produced e-waste. When I always talk about how software companies or technological companies, they are the biggest polluters on earth, and their pollution is the worst kind because it's electronic waste, because you don't know what to do with the damn things. So if you made compatible batteries, at least, because as I said, batteries are expensive. Now, if they at least made batteries that could work universally with any other inverter, one could have easily swapped out this whole system, kept the batteries, just changed to a new inverter, connect the batteries to that, and you have your backup without wasting money and without producing e-waste. But now what's happening is that they have designed their whole system in such a way that they cannot, and nothing in the system can be used independently of each other. Especially the batteries, which again, as I said, are one of the most expensive parts of any solar system, of any hybrid system with a backup. Your backup is what eats all that money. The batteries are what are so expensive. So imagine that you have added a BSM compatibility of your batteries, that it can only be, that value can only be compatible with your Skyelectric inverters and your Skyelectric system, but it cannot be compatible with any other system. So you've basically once again trapped your consumers, you've trapped your clients into a place where they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't, because it's a loss. And I when this whole because as I said, it's been 6 years of me having lots and lots of problems with their system, and every single time their system went to major problems, I always pointed out these facts to them, and I always told them that, what, the least you could have done was help us by upgrading. When you knew that your inverters did not have a good lifespan, you knew your systems were defective at best, you knew that your systems were going to have more and more problems, instead of just moving on making a new system for the new clients, your first step should have been to be respectful towards the loyalty of your founding clients, of your old clients. You should have respected them, and you, out of their loyalty of staying with you for so many years, you could have come to them and said, listen, we've got a new system, we can upgrade your system, we can take your existing system, replace it with a new system for a lesser price, or in fact, if they were actually responsible because they know that their system is flawed, if they were actually accountable and responsible, they would have done it for free as an apology, and also as a regard, again, to the loyalty of their customers who've been with them right from the start and who endured their experimental setups. It is experimental, because look at the system. 6 years and they have not perfected the system. They just decided to move on to a new system, and again, be damned with the old clients and their system. They never thought, hang on, let us secure our old clients, let's secure them, because this old system is just not doing the job well, and so we've made a new system. But no, this is, again, as I said, this is their way of earning money. As I said, every time they would come with outrageous ways of earning money. As I said, they exploited us by saying, oh, you have to pay us now every year for a subscription of maintenance, otherwise we will stop your software upgrades and we'll stop monitoring and this and that. And I had to literally bash the bejesus out of them for that, which everybody knows about that. The whole solar community knows about that, because this was a huge scandal. And I turned it into a scandal, thank you very much, and that is how the other older clients also then realized what was going on and how they were being scammed. And then there were others who already, like me, were voicing themselves but were not being heard. And so they used that platform to agree with me and expound on their own problems with them. So we all found out that we had the exact same problems. The system, at the end, then it means, is defective. And that would mean that they scammed us by not even thinking of replacing the system. So when I did all that, and then that time they promised me that, oh, no. And I said, listen, I'm going to dismantle the whole system and frack you people. I cannot deal with this anymore. And that time, they said that, no, when your warranty finishes, we will make sure that this is after the warranty finished, when again their system crapped on me, because it's been 6 years. As I said, there's every 3 months something happened, and now it's come to this point where literally a month and a half. Now that's the only span I get now where I can get some relief. A month and a half of relief, and then something happens, as you can see. So now, I mean, so when after the a lot of problems started piling up even after the warranty, I told them that, you know what, I'd rather just dismantle the whole system. You buy this system from me, or you tell me where to ditch it, and I'm going off. I'm going off of Skyelectric. And they're like, no, 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 we promise you that we will take. In fact, this is a good idea, and we're thinking on working on this idea where we are thinking that we should reach out to our old clients and we should buy their old systems and replace them with new ones on a very lesser estimate, lesser cost. And I was like, okay, when you fix the nitty-gritty, get back to me. Because obviously one would just prefer to have a normal, streamlined system without any problems. And then when they came back to me and they were like, oh, we finally did it. And as promised, and now we can do this. We can buy your system off of you and we'll replace it with a new system. And, you will have a 10 years warranty and this and that. And I'm like, okay, what's the estimate? 3 million. I'm like, are you out of your mind? 3 million. Oh, it's just that now we're going to use Japanese batteries. I'm like, so? We use Japanese batteries in our cars. We use Japanese batteries with our UPS system. We've used Japanese batteries all our lives. What kind of a Japanese battery is it that makes you want to say that I should pay 3 million for you to buy my old system? I'm like, you do really? Are you going to buy my old system or not? Oh, yeah, we are. And still it's 3 million? And as always, now when again those problems come up and I'm reminding them of all they did, now they're like, oh, the sales team has misguided you. I'm like, you know what? From day one, right from day one, when you sent your sales team to get you your first batch of clients, when you had just begun your company and you sent your sales team to us, that time you were all in sync. When I kept on asking the same questions to every single one of your departments, and you were all in sync about the information that, yeah, it's correct information, yes. And after installation, your NOC services decided to say, no, it's the sales department misinformed you, they misguided you, and we're already very angry with them that they've misguided all our clients. It was not like this and it is like this. And I'm like, hello, I asked your engineers, I asked your installers, I asked your head office people who were in communication with us. They were all saying the same thing. They were all agreeing with what your salesperson is saying. And now you're dumping everything on your salesperson? Wow. And now again, they did the same thing. Are you trying to tell me that you have no SOPs, you have no checks, you have no, accountabilities? There's nobody who supervises your sales team when they create an estimate. Don't they have to get an approval of that estimate before they send it to the client? Are you telling me that they just send the estimates to the clients directly without going through a whole protocol, without going through their supervisors, without going through the approval team, without going through the management? How dare you blame your sales for everything? Even now, they were like, oh, the salespeople, how could they have said that? This is completely outrageous. This is ridiculous. And I'm like, seriously? You're trying to tell me that you all these 6 years and you still haven't learned to have internal communication with each other? Forget internal communication. You want me to believe that your sales department is a rogue department that just writes whatever they want off the top of their head and they just send it to the clients without management approval? You want me to believe that? Wow. So there we are. My whole problem is that we spent, as I said, double the amount on this system than any other system in the whole, in every single company. Basically, all solar companies, they stick to the same market price, the same market rates, right? So there's not much of a difference between them. The only two companies that have the highest rates and the most ridiculous rates are Pantera and Skyelectric. They both basically began at the same time. They both approached us at the same time, right? They are both equally not worth it. Except I can say that in Pantera's case, you have spent the same amount of exorbitant fee as you do for Skyelectric, and you do not even get the bells and whistles which is in a way a good thing, because at the end of the day you don't have to worry about those things. Like those who have Pantera, they have never had to call Pantera's customer service and tell them, oh, now the system is doing this, oh, now the system is doing that. But Pantera also has a shitty customer service, by the way, because from the users that I know of Pantera, they have never, I mean, since they put their solar system, they're still paying bills. They're still paying exorbitant bills, and their system was double our system, as in when we had 5 kV of Skyelectric. I'm just comparing these two systems, not the other system that we have. I'm just comparing the Skyelectric system and the Pantera system, and that in our case we got a 5 kV system for the amount of a 10 kV. You understand? We spent the amount that would get you a 10 kV system to get a 5 kV system on Skyelectric. Because according to them, as I said, we were paying for the technology and the AI and this and that, which was all rubbish. And then in Pantera's case, I don't know what it is that they claimed you were paying for. More or less, they're very similar to Skyelectric. I think they even have, or they claim to have, remote monitoring. I don't know. They do have a software. They also have some sort of an AI thing. But I think theirs is more of that is similar to other systems nowadays that have a basic smart system set in. It's probably similar to that. Now, most recently, one of our neighbors, they just decided to get Pantera. And they got a 10 kV system, right? And they got it with a hybrid system without backup. As I said, people do not like to invest in batteries because people do not want maintenance issues. So they do not have maintenance issues, actually. It's zero maintenance issues. They're fine there. But weirdly, they have never had to. It's been a year now since they put that system, a year, and somehow they have never ever seen a credit on their bill. They are still paying bills in large amounts. Obviously, I would say it's also because of the usage of their, but again, the whole point of having a 10 kV is you can continue with your regular load usage, and you should still be able to, at least after 6 months, if nothing else, start getting zero bills. You start getting credit on your bills. We had a 5 kV system, and after they as I said, they delayed in everything. They even took a year. They delayed almost a year to install our system, and then it took another 8-9 months before they could install the green meter. So we lost basically a whole year in the process anyway, since we installed the system. And then it took us another half a year before we started getting credits. But that time it was Imran Khan's government, so it was an honest government, and they were not allowed to do any hanky-panky. So actually we saw credits coming through very quickly, very soon. But as soon as this government came, a lot of us suffered, as you know. And actually, it is during this government's tenure that our neighbors got Pantera. So I think that has a lot to do with it too. It's not Pantera itself. But I would say Pantera has a shitty customer service, because when they called them to come and find out what was going on, I don't think they gave them satisfying answers as to what exactly was going on, why they aren't getting credits, why are they still getting a lot of bills, right? Whereas when it comes to Skyelectric's customer service, I would say it is a lot better, but the problem is, again, a lot of delays. They always end up delaying. It begins with a small issue, and then they delay it until it gets to a bigger issue, and then things, start happening. Like, again, as I said, the inverter blew up, and then after that, the tablets, at least I think in these 6 years, within 1 year alone, within the warranty period alone, I think they had to change the tablets 4 times. Just the tablet. Or what does the tablet do? It's just got the Android software that is showing your app on the screen, which is giving you your data, your basic data of input and output and selling, and that's it. So you have the screen on your system, and that is essentially the tablet. Imagine, within the warranty period, and in that warranty period, within 1 year alone, they had to replace the tablets 3 to 4 times. So first, the tablets always seem to have a defect. And then, the inverters, as I said, it's proof that their inverters quality and durability is very, very bad. It's third rate, because how can you allow your inverter to not last more than 2 to 3 years? As I said, that is the main component of any solar system. And to be careless and reckless about that, as to not care, as I said, if nothing else, if they had just fixed and increased the lifespan of their inverter alone, and replaced that in all of our clients. For example, the time when our inverter blew, the original inverter, that was a very good time for them to get a new inverter, a completely new upgraded version, and say, okay, you know what, we're going to put an upgraded inverter. But even that time, they kept on yapping about, with this value and that value, and this goes and that goes, and we can, and I'm like, yeah, and they ended up putting a refurbished inverter, because according to them, a new upgraded inverter wouldn't fit into their existing system, and they didn't want to upgrade the whole system as an apology. I was like, just give me a refund, because your system sucks. And that time they kept placating me, saying, no, we'll do something, we'll get. And what did they do this is what they did. They replaced it with a refurbished, and we had to bear with that. And as it is that same refurbished inverter now that, again, didn't even last 2.5 years. Or it's just 2 years, I think. It didn't even last 2 years, or maximum 2.5 years, and it's got issues. Again, as long as you have a smart system, as long as you have a computer, as long as you have a software involved in the system, your system is fracked. If you want a truly zero maintenance system, then just get a generic inverter, an inverter that is tried and tested by huge international companies and sold in the markets to be universally accommodated with any solar system. Just use them and you're good to go. If you think it's worth the money, invest in a backup system, invest in batteries, and you're good to go as well. The reason why I feel investing in batteries is worth it is you do get at least 10 hours, especially if you if you know how to control your load when there is load shedding or when there's power outages. And if you keep your load controlled, you can get up to 10-12 hours worth of light, uninterrupted light. That is how good it works. And I know it because, as I said, I've experienced that. So the only thing I can tell you that is actually worth it are the batteries. If this system was not an AI system, if it did not have these unnecessary, useless, shitty sort of fangles in the name of AI and in the name of software, this would have been a very good system, because then they would have actually worked on the inverter itself. They would have worked on the inverter's lifespan. And if the inverter, as we can see, has proved to have a shitty lifespan, and that is not a very good durability or sustainability, and it's not very, very reliable, and it doesn't have an actual decent lifespan, then you know what? They could have just easily replaced the inverter without any problems. The only reason they could never upgrade the inverter, the only reason they could never replace it with a newer version of the inverter, is because their whole system that was tied around it was a computerized, software-based system. Now, remove all of that from the mix, and it would have been possible. Again, adding to e-waste. Their inability to upgrade the system without pulling out everything, e-waste. The fact that if I want to dismantle the system, because this current system cannot be replaced in any form with any other system, I have to completely dismantle the system, remove it, and then attach the panels to a new system that I'll buy. So I'm again spending more money, right, for a whole battery backup system, and I'm going to discard this. So not only have I spent more than now double the amount on just a 5 kV system, but there's also e-waste. Obviously, I could tell Skyelectric to come and buy the thing off of me, but this is where Pakistanis, how they would work. They sold the system to us for lakhs and lakhs of rupees, but are they going to buy it from us for a decent price? Will they show us that courtesy? It's their own system that they seem to, vow by. They take an oath by their system that, oh, this is the best system ever, and we stand by our system. But tell me, when they'll come to buy their own system back, what are they going to say? It's like jewelers, like gold jewelers. You go to them and they're like, oh, the price of the making and the price of the gold and the price of the stones and this and that, you have to pay all this. You go back to the same jewelers that made that jewelry for you and you try to sell it back to them, and they will say, oh, the making cannot be counted, the stone cannot be counted, this cannot be counted, that cannot be counted. We will just pay you only for the gold itself. That is what you should expect from these people. So yes, this is why I will again say anything smart is not worth investing in. Not in Pakistan, at least. Anything customized is not worth investing it in any part of the world, actually, to be honest. Forget Pakistan, in any part of the world. Because you want to be able to upgrade or replace or change to keep your system running for a long time. And that can only be done if you're using universal generic systems without the newfangled technology bits, without the AIs and without the soft. Never go for a software oriented system is what I'm saying. Never go for that kind of a smart system. There are all the systems nowadays are one way or the other smart. The only thing smart about these systems is they all have apps. Again, these apps are generic universal apps. You just download them on your phone. You get your basic data. And I'm telling you again, after 6 years of my experience, you do not need to know more than whatever it is. You just need to know how much is being produced, how much is being sold, how much is being consumed. That's it. And they all give you that. And at the end of the day, you know what? Skyelectric also just gives you that. Forget their graphs and forget their per units and this and that, because it doesn't help you. It's not like it's going to help you go fight with Vabda when you get overbilled all of a sudden. That's not going to help you. It's not going to help your case. This is Pakistan. So this is useless. That's what I'm saying. It's not worth the money. It's just not worth the money. You're getting unnecessary, useless information that has nothing to do with you and will not help you in any way. You just require basic information, and all generic systems give you that basic information. Take Growatt, take Inverx, take any of them. They all have apps. You just download those apps and you use them and you see what's going on, and that's it. That you don't even need to know more, believe me. So yeah, it's useless. In other words, what I'm saying, the things that they convince their clients by saying that, you're paying for this, it's not worth the money. It's useless. And so I'm again stuck with this system. And now again, as I said, if I'm the way things are, I don't think we will. In fact, since last year, or since in fact the time when the whole thing started, and it's continuing anyway, what started and what, every single year, thrice a year, we have problems with the system. And again, it's all because it's a software based system. It's not a straightforward system. So last year also we were thinking to either upgrade it or to just replace the whole system. And now again, I'm even more sure we need to change and replace the system, because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Yes, it's going to cost us a pretty penny. Why am I saying a pretty penny? Because remember, this is a 5 kV system. It's a 5 kV system. And you expect me to again spend between 500 or maybe minimum between 3 to 400K and almost 900 plus K, a million. It's between this. It's a wide range, as you can see, because it depends on what you're getting. So if it sticks to around, even if it's the total estimate, if you put everything in, would still not even be 300K. No, because the batteries alone begin at around 300K, 350, 370K, 400K. So that's just the batteries. And then the inverter would be around, almost make it 150 to 2K. So it's going to cost you, in any case, still 6 600K, right? So in other words, 6 lakhs. So it's going to cost you 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 lakhs. Again, minimum 6 lakhs. If even if you go even way below, maybe 555 lakhs, if you're very, very lucky and you somehow manage to get a good deal, that's it. So still, it's like, so basically, again, in this much money, you could have got another 5 kV system set up. You know what I'm saying? You could get a whole system set up in this much money, panels included. And here we have the panels and everything, and all we will have to do is to replace the existing system with a hybrid backup system. But yeah, if we choose to leave backup for now and just put in the inverter, then it costs nothing. Then it costs like just between around just 2 lakhs, okay? But if you want to put your backup in, it will dramatically increase. So that is what I'm saying. That is how this ends up being a trap, a scam, and it's just not worth it. Okay, again, I'll say my problem has never been with the people in Skyelectric. Their engineers are the best people, the most sincere, most hardworking, most honest people ever. The way they go through things, the way they go to all lengths to make sure that the client doesn't have a problem. They know, they can see and they can understand the problem, and they know that this shouldn't be happening, and they know your pain, in other words, because this is again something that shouldn't be happening. I have a problem with the knock services because to me they're always asleep. And again, it's because their services is purely software oriented, and I have a problem with the whole software. The software is problematic. Everybody agrees. Okay? Without the software, we wouldn't be going through all this shit. Okay? And I have a problem with their management. Every time a new management comes in and they start this whole weird ass thing, and they create problems for our already problematic systems. Yeah. So I have a problem with the quality, because look, they claim to have designed and customized and their whole system from the inverter to this, and keeping in mind Pakistan's electricity and all. Listen, the vision is all fine. People would love to invest in this vision if this vision actually proved useful, and if it proved hassle free, but it's not. So at the end of the day, you're stuck with a useless vision that you could do without, because it's not practical in the sense that, again, it has so many flaws in it. And my problem is that they never sincerely worked to finish these flaws. No, they just decided to move on and make an upgrade into a new system, leaving all of us hanging there with a flawed, defective system. That they did nothing to give you a permanent solution. They keep on saying, oh, we're going to give you a permanent solution. Do you know what a permanent solution is? A permanent solution was you should have replaced all the inverters with better quality inverters that had longer lifespans. Instead, you are keeping us with the same inverters that do not have more than 3 years worth of lifespans, if you're lucky. Otherwise, as you can see, it can conk out in 2.5 years. And then where is the person supposed to go? Again, the inverter is the whole system. And your inverters already have a short lifespan, which I think becomes even more shorter because they have to deal with the whole software. They have to deal with the motherboards and the connectors and this and that. And I think that sort of shortens their lifespan. So they did not really design their inverters then to be capable enough or durable enough or sustainable enough, for a smart system. And this is why I'm going to have another week of sleepless nights and tension, thinking that, okay, so I think we'd rather now spend maybe a few more lakhs and replace the whole system with a generic system, to save ourselves all this headache. Because believe me, this is not a headache you want. And as I said, if you have a software-oriented system, it is trouble. It is 24 hours trouble. It's not a very good software. Okay? It's not a very good, because if it actually was a software that they really worked properly on, you wouldn't be having these problems. We work on computers. We work on laptops, we work on our mobiles. These are all using softwares. Why are these softwares fine? And why is it that this simple Android software of theirs, which they designed and built and created, is so useless that it cannot deal with the system? That it's always having issues and errors and glitches that causes physical errors and glitches that causes the inverters then to require replacement or repair. That is my problem. So yeah, their system, their software, in fact, it means it's not even worth the money as well. And this is my honest take. As I said, I have nothing against anybody there. My problem is with the management. My problem is with the NOC services, which is the software. My problem is with their sales team. But when it comes to their technical team, when it comes to their engineers, their field engineers, their technical people, I have no problems with them because they have never disappointed me. No, it's the system. The system keeps disappointing all of us. And the management that just doesn't do anything really, really concrete about it. And then the sales team that says, oh, don't worry, we've got your back. And then they give you an estimate of 3 million for a replacement. Like, are you mad? Well, this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.